Welcome back to our attendees. Our next speaker, Mr. Ricky Doyle, crew captain and CEO at Practice Labs. Speaking on today's topics is Practice Lab improving your odds of success. Over to you, Ricky.
Thanks very much, Melvin, and welcome to this session with Ricky at Practice Labs. So first of all, I should say greetings from sunny England, and I know it's hard to believe, but we actually do get some sun here every now and again. So Melvin, I just want to say to you and your team, we only see a small snippet of what's going on today, but really well done on putting the event together. A lot of hard work goes into that, so thank you for that. The other distinguished guests, really great information so far today. I've been engrossed in kind of listening to what everyone has to say about what's happening in the region. So really exciting opportunities there. And His Excellency, thank you for opening the event today and inviting us to participate. So before I get into Practice Labs and what we do, I just wanted to touch on a couple of key points really around the event so far. And right at the beginning, I made some notes around one or two of those. I think the three key things that have come out so far for me is the idea around connectivity being really important, and I don't think we can undervalue that. Certainly from a institution perspective, an academic institution perspective, whether it be university or college, to leverage and really have high success of any ed tech solutions or any digital solutions. Connectivity is fundamental, and we work quite extensively in North America and here in the UK. And then actually it's amazing how undervalued that element is from the institutions and even down to the students, talking around 5G and some of the exciting initiatives that happen there. So, really a takeaway for me to remind our partners in the rest of the world that we should be looking at that more closely. The second piece is around this collaboration element, and I think Helga put it best, and she's far more eloquent than I, but we are better together than we are apart. And having these events that bring people together to share ideas and collaborate with one another for the greater good, is really exciting and something we always try and be a part of. And we're really happy to be here and see if we can add our expertise to some of the initiatives that are happening in region as well. And the last piece, which really kind of falls into our world, is this kind of innovation in education. And maybe that's an opportunity for me to introduce Practice Labs on a wider scale. So as a business, we've been around for a little while, probably not as well known in your region as we are maybe in North America and Europe. But Practice Labs, if I have to summarize it for you, is, we and kind of touches on the presentation name, we improve the odds of students getting jobs in IT. And that really kind of resonates with us and is really our purpose of why we started the company. We want to build these solutions that really enable students to gain these digital skills and enter a digital workforce, as we can see in almost every industry in the world now. Having a baseline of digital skills from fundamental level to very advanced levels is hugely important for everyone. So how we do that, it kind of touches on these three things that I have on the screen here. So we have a practice environment, and this is the ability for students and learners to really get immersed in technology and go and utilize it and develop those practical skills in a safe working environment. But the key piece is accessing real live equipment. So that's our lab environment. And really, it's not only beneficial to students who are engrossed in kind of that learning method by doing, and let's be honest, if we kind of look at our own lives, most of the things we've learned, we've always had to do through trial and error, some form of practical element. But where it's really just as important is also to the educators. How do we, from a solution perspective, build environments that students can go get access to without putting the overhead on instructors and professors to go and do this themselves in the classroom, giving them the time back to go and really focus on what they're good at, and that is teaching our students around specific topics. So the practice element of what we do is the hands-on piece. And then just as important, and I think this is a really exciting initiative from us and a number of other companies around the world, is how do we prove those skills? How do we really demonstrate that someone has taken the learning that they've had, they've then put it into practice? How do we demonstrate that they really have the capability to take that and put it into the workforce? And we've developed a solution where that is the case, and it's broken into an assessment platform that covers 3 essential areas. The first being knowledge assessments, ensuring that the student has the fundamental understanding of a topic. The second piece is demonstrating skill in that topic. So how do we evaluate that the student can work out a problem? And what I mean by that is it's more of an open textbook type question. So imagine I asked someone in the room, if we were together, and maybe this would be the case next year, to look at my computer and give me the specs of what it is. Now, that's not something that you could just recall from memory. You would have to demonstrate some skills on how to do that. And that's what we provide in platform, with the ability to work out the answer. And then the final piece around assessments is really ability type questions. So these are problem solving or troubleshooting type scenarios where a learner has to go in the lab environment, go and work out the problem to ultimately prove that they are capable of doing a job. And then finally, the do piece is taking the practice element. You've proven your skills, now you go and do it in the workplace. So that at a very high level is what we're about and what we produce. I'm going to run through our presentation just very quickly to give you a sense of how it hangs together from an EdTech partner and customer relationship as we take students on the journey. So we really focus on that solution approach to solving problems. And the problem we kind of look at specifically is how do we improve digital skills in the kind of the learner base. So if we go through, our kind of positioning, and we kind of look at the kind of skills development environment in kind of a pyramid shape. And if you look at the base of the pyramid is where you have the entry level points for a number of students. So here you're trying to cater for the basic understanding of digital literacy, essential digital skills. You know, how do you get someone into understanding just how to work a computer, really? And then you start moving them up that skill level into this fundamental knowledge, which maybe starts to become more entry level IT positions, and a little bit of a generalist that we would look to employ in any of the organizations, maybe a help desk type role, something along those lines. And then as you become more experienced and more skilled, you start to move into that mid-tier point of, you start to specialize in these different areas. And then as you go further up the pyramid, you start to really kind of hone into these specialities around different things: cloud technology, cybersecurity, data analytics, development, DevOps, machine learning. Now, these are key terms I think that we band around very easily, but we have to realize that these specialist topics are built on the fundamentals. And that's where we come in. We can take the learner on the journey from those basics all the way through into some of those specialist areas, but focusing on, and I want to make this point very clear, focusing on more the practical side of the skill development and proving those skills as opposed to the theoretical knowledge. And that's why the relationships work really well with certainly universities and colleges, and certainly vocational colleges, is we work in conjunction with those professors and programs and instructors to give a full, a full end-to-end solution that incorporates just, the most important part for us, the hands-on piece. As we look at the strategic opportunities that exist with some of our customers, we can start to really focus in on what they deem to be their most important attributes or outcomes for students. So we can see here, some of the areas that we work in the UK and in North America along the digital skills pathways. And there we're looking at how do we take someone on a journey that not only from teaching the skill, but actually into a virtual work experience environment, so that when they come out of the program and they move into the workplace, they are a much more rounded individual when it comes to understanding the different elements that are related to work than just having the skill. So that's the one piece. We then look at some of that occupational progression, and that is for, we fall into the trap sometimes, I think, of only focusing on learners who have come out of school into formal education. And we actually forget about those individuals that are already in the workplace, and how do we develop their skills so they can progress in their careers. And that's a very, very important part of kind of solving some of these skills gaps, because if we're not moving people along their career progression, how are we making capacity and space at some of these entry-level positions that exist within the workplace? So sometimes we have skilled individuals, but not enough entry-level jobs to get people into the workforce. So very much focused on also progressing those that are already in work. Then we start looking at things like specific project areas around either qualifications that are in country, looking at some of the international certifications. So we build solutions that are not only one-on-one with organizations, but actually look at some of the wider industry certifications that exist, and actually build off-the-shelf products. And those off-the-shelf products sometimes align and fit directly alongside some of the programs around ICT that are already happening within the different institutions. And then that last piece is, how do we help influence and educate the market to understand that some of these things exist? Because a lot of times we so focused on the day job that you almost forget to look around and see what's there. And what is the classic saying? You don't know what you don't know. So we're really trying to influence and educate the market on these solutions do exist. How do we now help fit them into an existing program, or even a new program that may be coming down the road? So you can see, it's quite a diverse range of skills that we offer and solutions, but all focus on those key things of helping the learners. And I use that term specifically because it isn't always students actually either get a job or move along in their careers. So this kind of touches on how we take that learner on the journey. And it just really echoes what I was talking about on the skills pyramid. So if you start really from the left-hand side and we have a look at the different types of learners that we may have from the different types of sectors that come into the top of the funnel, we then take them on the journey around giving them the basic skills, an intro to what a modern workplace may look like, and what are those essential digital skills that one may need to perform a role. As you progress further down the line, and this gives a little bit more breadth to what the fundamentals are. So the fundamentals now start to really focus in, what does an IT department look like? And I'm sure everyone is listening to some of this going, well, there's such a huge range of roles in IT, and there really are. But I think this starts to give people some definition of what these roles may be. It's not one-dimensional where it only has to be technical, or you can only be a coder, or you can only be a cybersecurity technician. Actually, IT is much, much broader than that and requires a wide range of digital skills to fill the different roles that may exist. And then as you start to understand some of these things, we then move you into kind of that speciality area. And now this is where you're really starting to focus on, a further career. Well, how do I go from, and I mentioned a couple of these terms, from knowing just the fundamentals, how do I now really become a cybersecurity engineer? And we have to realize that the journey starts again. It's not a case of once I've finished the fundamentals program, I can now get dropped into a specialty program, and 3 months later, I'm an expert. There really is a phased approach to that as well. So even if I'm looking at a specialty, I still need to understand the fundamentals of that specialty. Or sorry, I should probably say the basics of that specialty, and then the fundamentals of that. And then time and experience will really help me move up that career path. And then you look at that final piece in progression, and where you're starting to look at, this is those that are already employed and are on their own journey. How do we help get them into some of these really kind of more focused speciality areas for their own career progression, making space at the entry level for the rest of the business. So how do we do that? We've touched on at a very high level the different tools we have, but how we structure our our curriculum and our topics is kind of based again on the funnel. So each stage follows the same methodology, if you like. We have to give you some understanding of the basic topics in any one of any number of disciplines, and this is really where our framework comes into play. So we take you through the basics of a topic, that fundamentals, and you've heard me speak about these in the number of slides, and then we start to become a little bit more focused on the different roles, skills, or qualifications, and maybe giving everyone a taster of that, because I think not only do we have a responsibility, and I think this is the wider group, to develop individual skills in gaining employment. I think one of the big things that we don't do enough of is actually how do we allow individuals, and this is at the entry level point, to understand what they don't want to do. And that's a very critical part, because I think sometimes there's a perception that, I use coding again, I want to become a coder because everyone tells me that's where the jobs are. I start and I enroll in a particular course, degree, etc., and I realize I don't have any aptitude for it, or I don't have any desire or enjoyment of it, and I end up dropping out the course and maybe dropping out of the industry altogether. So what we try and build into our framework is, when we are introducing to one of these, whether it be a job role or a specific discipline, try to give the learner a taste of the different elements, which hopefully they do enjoy. But my point being, if they don't enjoy it, they can drop out at that point without investing any more time and effort into that particular discipline. Then you have your focus area, and then that moves on to greater kind of employment opportunities down the line. So we touched on our prove element, and that's actually a tool we call ability confirmation tool, and that has this multifaceted assessment capability that brings in those three key things: knowledge, skill, and ability assessments, to really showcase an individual's all-round capability in terms of understanding a skill or a particular job role. So here, when we start to look at the types of topics we cover, it is a really wide array, and we start off at the very basic level, understanding and showcasing things like Microsoft Office or tools, whether it be Excel or Microsoft Word. These are fundamental productivity tools, but not everyone has the ability to install these locally, run them in the classroom, and that's really where the practice lab element comes in from a lab perspective. But then it goes way up, and you've seen the pyramid there, into the a cloud technology. So a lab, from our perspective, allows the learner to get into the environment, a safe working environment, now showcases the tools and the technologies to them, and they had free will to go and experiment and play around with the different options that are there. And I think most of us can appreciate, you learn more from the experimentation side of things than you are just following on in a prescriptive manner through a series of tasks. So the lab has a very broad set of objectives as well. And then those skills move into the assessment tool. And those the lab and assessments are aligned to ensure that actually there's a broad range of topics. So in terms of just finishing off, our core capabilities, we've talked about that, I think, so far. The live lab solution in terms of developing the tool, the skills, the assessments that go and prove those. But those are all underpinned by an organization that has a real belief in culture for learning and supporting our customers. So we have a mantra internally is the three kind of mission statements we live by is build the best products we can to make learners better today than they were yesterday. Let's support our customers to the best of our ability. Let's always exceed their expectations. And the final one is to have a company that people want to be part of and believe in our vision and our purpose around helping and people change their lives in some capacity. And if we can do that through our platform, through the support with our partnerships in region and in other parts of the world, that's what really drives us on a day-to-day basis. So the final piece here, and hopefully the slides will be shared with everyone. But if I've rushed through this to ensure that we keep on time. This is a little overview. If you're reading the slides later, to kind of see what we have in the toolbox, so to speak. But please feel free to come by our booth. We are there for the rest of today. Ask any questions. More than happy to set up a demo with you one-on-one to showcase the platform itself. I know these things sometimes are a little bit abstract if they come across just in the written word. So more than happy to do the demos and show you what the benefits would be specifically to your students. And I think with that, the presentation concludes, and I'd just like to thank everyone for being part of our journey, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Alvin?
Yes, thank you, Ricky, for your presentation. Just to inform the attendees, there is an exhibition booth of Practice Labs where you can go and check the products and services and also ask your questions. Ricky, one question from my side. So,
Sure.
the pandemic, I'm sure your services would be of enhanced use, right? Because of the virtual labs.
Yeah, Melvin, I think it certainly has. We've been really supportive of our clients over the last year. You can imagine this is how we found ourselves. Over the previous years, adoption of EdTech and customers has been in equal measure, and supply and demand have been kind of going at equal pace. What we found last year, obviously, is everyone went, oh my gosh, I need to go online. So the demand massively grew, but not everyone was geared for it. So, and what I mean by that, financially geared for it, because these things obviously have additional strains on strains, I should say, investment requirements that might have not been there. So we certainly worked with our partners, and we actually won an award for the support we did through COVID last year. But to answer your question, absolutely, we're now seeing everyone, as we move into the new world, having to adopt new technologies and new ways of working to ensure flexibility in programs. But more importantly, I think this is the key piece, is making sure that students have the same experience that they would have in classroom, out of the classroom. And fortunately, having a lab environment for people to develop those skills is hugely important. That's one of the fundamentals of any learning program.
Perfect. So thank you, Ricky, for your time and presentation, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Melvin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.